Back to the subject of reaction, because that is where the whole business stands or falls. Faith, do you see it, is not counted by your vocabulary of truth, not by how expertly you can quote, "Be still and know that I am God," but by what happens in you for 10 seconds when the wind rises. Why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith? Was not a criticism of their theology. It measured their reaction in the boat right at the shriek of the wave. In those first 10 seconds, when panic shouts, your non-reaction says everything about the God you trust or the God you imagine you must prop up. Define the storm correctly and you will not be recruited by it. A storm is any appearance that demands your instinctive human reaction, your yes, your no, your rush, your defense. It is the ping of a message that stings you with accusation, the invoice that seems to empty your pocket, the diagnosis that whispers hourglasses, the child crying in the night, the headline baiting your rage. Panic is the salesman of a universe with two powers. It needs you to answer the door. Now, the secret is not to slam the door or argue through the peephole. The secret is to remain at home in God while the knocking goes on, 10 seconds. Not to count them in fear, but to consecrate them. This is not passivity. This is principle. When the disciples cried out, he arose and rebuked the wind and said unto the sea, "Peace, be still." And there was a great calm. You think he wrestled? No. He didn't take the side of quiet against noise, the side of life against death, as if there were two. He stood, do you see it, in the middle path that neither fears, loves, nor hates any appearance. That is our path. Never enter the case humanly. Never take a side against panic, because the hatred of panic is the secret worship of panic. Stand with principle alone. Principle is impersonal. It knows no contest. All right, how do we begin to learn that stance when our breath is short and our hand twitches for the reply button? 10 seconds. Let that be our altar, our Sabbath, inside the hour. Because man was not made for the Sabbath, but the Sabbath for man. Set a timer if you must, but listen, this is not a gadget. This is a sacrament. When that bell starts, those 10 seconds, you have left Egypt. You have crossed the threshold where stand still and see the salvation of the Lord becomes more than a verse. You are not using a technique to tame a universe. You are declining to react in a universe already governed. And please, allow the shock that heals. God is not power to be thrown at a storm. Don't turn to God for anything. Turn in God to discover there is only one. God isn't mind. God isn't even soul. Nobody knows what God is, and yet in the 10 seconds when you refuse to fashion a mental God or a human rescue, presence announces itself without your conceptual permission. You see why thought cannot help you. By taking thought, no one has contacted God, but in the merest held stillness, the sea in you begins to glass over. So we will make our beginning here. The measure of your faith will not be tomorrow's outcome, not the quieting of your email or the sudden check in the mail, not even the easing of pain. It will be that you dared 10 seconds of principled non-reaction right where panic demanded answer. That is the beginning of the calming of the sea. Keep to the middle path, neither fear, love, nor hate any appearance, and let those 10 seconds become holy ground where you refuse sides, refuse struggle, and let peace be still, rise from within of its own accord. Now let us be exact, because this is where the error creeps in under the robe of righteousness. If in those 10 seconds you take the side of the calmer you against the frantic world, you have already split the indivisible and entered the case humanly. Do you see that? Spirit knows no side. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment is not taking the side of quiet against noise, of bravery against fear, as if the kingdom of God were a contest to be refereed. Righteous judgment refuses the entire arena of sides and stands in the one. You cannot be effective while you are a partisan, not even a partisan of peace. The instant you love serenity more than truth, or hate agitation more than error, you have chosen a personality to serve. Never enter the case humanly, not even the side that hires you. Principle alone governs. So when panic presents itself by text, by symptom, by memory, it is not yours, it is not theirs, it is a universal belief knocking for acknowledgement. Name it rightly, and you are not its audience. Call it what it is, an appearance without law, a wind with no statute behind it. On the middle path, we neither fear, love, nor hate it. We simply do not donate reaction. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. One. If there is only one, where will panic find an opposite to wrestle? Where will it find a platform if you decline to build it with your fear or your fervor? Even if God be for us, who can be against us? Does not mean God taking our side in a brawl. It means there is no against in the one. That ends the contest, not by victory, but by disappearance. All right? Then let the pressure to fix be relieved at once. We are not here to change appearances. We are here to abide until appearances dissolve in their own nothingness. Martha, Martha, thou art careful and troubled about many things, but one thing is needful. Mary chose the posture of presence, not the labor of rearrangement, and that posture is still the better part. Don't rush the deck chairs on a ship that is already under divine command. Be still. Let be. We are not mechanics of mind. We are witnesses of principle. In practice, the refusal of sides is childlike. In those 10 seconds, you may say quietly, without heat, one power, not as a charm, not as a counterpunch, but as a consent to what eternally is. Breathe once gently. Refuse to move inwardly or outwardly for the space of that vow. Abide in me, and I in you. If there is movement, let it be the unnoticed rising of peace within, not your engineering. You will find that panic, deprived of your stage and your spotlight, has no play to perform. And if in that moment the old habit insists, do something, let the answer be the truth. Jesus lived. I can of mine own self do nothing. That is not helplessness. That is effectiveness. It is the end of struggle, the end of sides, and the beginning of principle acting as the only life of your scene. Now, what are those 10 seconds for? Not for thinking, not for cleverness, not for rummaging through a warehouse of quotations to throw at a storm. Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature? Nobody, by taking thought, has ever contacted God, and nobody, by taking thought, has ever stilled a sea. Concepts about God are a fence. Contact with God is the open field. The 10 seconds are the fence falling down. They are a deliberate, concept-free pause in which you do not seek, do not plead, do not perform. You simply stop feeding the sense of two, you see? Not a contest, not a better thought against a worse thought, not your tranquility battling their terror. You release the whole arena and wait without words until presence acknowledges itself. Listen to the cadence that ends fear. Be not afraid. It is I. There was no sermon on that water, there was I. Not an idea about I, not a definition of I, not a theology of I, just I. That is what the 10 seconds are for, to let that which is be what it is, without your commentary. And here is the contrarian truth that will liberate you from spiritual exhaustion. God is not mind, not a power you can wield, not even soul as you imagine soul. Nobody knows what God is. Do you see why it is a mercy to let thought go? The mind that tries to figure God will only breed fresh weather. The split second of silence is the only aperture through which reality walks in. All right? We will make this simple in a way the body can trust. We will place a plain 10-second timer before you, a little clock on the screen, nothing holy about it, and give it one task only, to hold the pause for you while you lay down concepts. Let the timer be a chalice. You do not sip thought from it, you pour thought out. While it runs, you are not applying truth. You are forgetting every truth you ever knew. No affirmations, no denials, no petitions. A Sabbath inside the minute. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength, not in verbosity, not in analysis. What happens in that hush is not your business, it is God's. If there is a word, it will not be yours. It will rise of itself. If there is a motion, it will not be your rescue reflex. It will be the unnoticed swelling of peace. Often there will be no content at all, and that is the sign you are near the marrow. The fruit is felt as de-urgency. The storm has not yet changed its costume, perhaps, but its voice no longer recruits you. The sea in you answers to another government. It is I, be not afraid. That is not a thought you supply. That is a presence you recognize without syllables. You will know it as a soft weight, a settledness, sometimes only as the absence of pressure where pressure ruled a moment before. And please, do not make a sacrament of performing the pause well. The 10 seconds are not for you to succeed at. They are for you to vanish in. If midway you catch yourself measuring, am I calm yet? Is it working? Let that be the bell that you are back in thought, and gently return to not knowing. Remember, the mind can rehearse peace and leave you agitated. Only contact dissolves urgency. We are not trying to tame symptoms. We are consenting to the one. When you emerge, you may still have emails, diagnoses, headlines, but they have lost their hook. They are appearances without your tribute. This, then, is the mechanism. 10 seconds, so spare that they cannot carry your theology, so quiet that they do not accommodate your fear, so honest that they will not let you make God into a device. The seconds exist to give silence, its floor, to let presence say I in its own voice, and in that saying end the need for hurry. Stay with this. Let the timer be your tutor and the stillness be your sanctuary, and you will learn, perhaps for the first time, that peace is not achieved. It is recognized. And when it is recognized, the sea remembers how to be glass. All right? Now, the exactness that keeps this from becoming another project of the mind. When the knock of panic sounds, and it will sound, do not rise to meet it, sit down into God. Posture first, because the body can be taught to stop agreeing with fear. Soften the jaw, drop the shoulders, place both feet on the floor. Do nothing heroic, you see, no stiff spine of righteousness, no furrowed brow of holiness. We are not conquering, we are consenting. Be still and know that I am God. Does not ask for a pose. It asks for the relinquishment of posing. Let the face be ordinary. Let the hands be quiet in the lap. This is your altar. Unremarkable, human, and offered. Next, the breath. Only one slow in-breath through the nose, as if you were smelling rain. One gentler out-breath that does not blow the world away. It merely lets the air go home. If there is time, a second cycle, no counting contests, no performance. Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature? Not one of us. And which of us, by managing breath, can manufacture God? None. The breath, like the wind, bloweth where it listeth. And we are letting it remind us that life is not achieved by effort. Do less than you think. The exhale is your silent bow. I can of mine own self do nothing. Now, in that small clearing, a mantra, not as a charm, but as a sign that you refuse reaction. Whisper it if you must, but it is enough to say it inwardly without heat. Peace, be still. I need do nothing. There is only one power, not three mantras for three problems, one consent for the only reality. If you feel the old habit begin to bargain, if you will make this go away, I will. Smile at the relic of superstition and let it pass. No pleading, no fixing, no bargaining. Never enter the case humanly. We are not standing with quiet against noise. We are standing where sides do not exist. Take no thought for your life, not because life is unworthy of care, but because life already is what it is in God, and your thought cannot improve it. To anchor the body to this vow, let thumb meet forefinger at the very first note of panic. Make that touch your be still signal a small sacrament the nerves can recognize. At the same moment, let the little on-screen timer begin. Thumb to forefinger, timer to 10. The world may still be loud, but you have withdrawn your vote. Keep the jaw soft, shoulders dropped, breath gentle. The mantra, once, maybe twice, like a stone dropped in a lake without splash. Peace, be still. I need do nothing. There is only one power. Then let even the words go, if they wish. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Seeing is not thinking, it is the absence of interference. If in those seconds thought rushes to take over, what if, and then I must return to the mark. Touch, breath, one power. Refuse to add a syllable of human management. We are fasting from concepts, and in that fast, the hunger that drove panic loses its teeth. You will notice not a triumph, but a soft losing of urgency, as if the hook had fallen out of the cheek. That is enough. When the timer releases you, do not grade the quiet. Rise. If rising is asked, write the email that is plain to write. Tend the child to be held, but do not break the seal with analysis. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. The fruit is not that the sea has changed its face in a minute. The fruit is that you did not lend it your reaction. This is the whole practice. Do less than you think. One gentle breath, one quiet mantra, a thumb and forefinger that say, be still, and the refusal to enter the case humanly for 10 held seconds in that little obedience. The one announces itself, not as a fireworks of deliverance, but as the simple end of hurry. And when hurry ends, the storm begins to forget its script. All right, let me open a few windows so you can see the thing at work where rubber meets road and thumb meets forefinger. A student wrote, at the on-ramp, the old spike rose tight chest, hot hands, the merge like a riddle I had to solve in one car length. Do you see how panic sells a two-power universe right there, me versus traffic, time against me, steel against flesh? He did not become a hero. He touched thumb to forefinger, set the 10 seconds, and let peace be still drop once into the body like a pebble into a pond. No managing breath, no white-knuckle prayers, hands steady, eyes simple, lane clear. Nothing dramatic, only presence. In returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. The merge happened in the space where he refused to give panic his vote. Not conquered, forgotten, that is the order I am speaking of. It does not come by winning, but by no longer reacting. Another wrote of the stinging text, you know the kind that demands an instant defense. You never you, always how could you? The itch to explain is the fisherman's hook, so she did not type. Timer to 10. The mantra once, without heat, I need do nothing. There is only one power. Silence first, words later, or none at all. In 10 seconds, the personal fuse burned out. The urge to be right dissolved into seeing. A soft answer turneth away wrath. Yes, and sometimes the softest answer is the hour's delay that lets God answer as changed tone or as clarity that this is not your case to try. When she did reply, it was a sentence without spike, and the quarrel either dissolved or clarified without warfare. We didn't pick a side, not even the side that hired our ego. We stood with principle and let it sort what words never could. And in the night season, at 3 a.m., when the body remembers old alarms for no reason it can name, the practice is the same. Sit up, 2 breaths as quiet as dew. Whisper once, I need do nothing, and refuse to chase sleep like a thief down an alley. Let the timer guard 10 seconds of non-reaction to the drum in the ribs. He giveth his beloved sleep, not you producing sleep, not you bargaining for it. Sleep comes like a shy animal to a clearing that isn't being hunted. Often the chest unwinds, the jaw releases, and either the body lies down and drifts without ceremony, or the night becomes a watch with God that does not cost you peace, do you see? We did not fix the storm. We stopped paying it with reaction. Across these windows, the method does not vary, because truth does not wear costumes for each scene. We do less than we think, and more happens than we could plan. Results register as relief, as clarity, as an unforced next step, sometimes as a door that shuts and spares you, sometimes as a door that opens you hadn't the wit to find. Don't make a God of the result. Let God have his perfect work. Again and again, stillness precedes order. We do not fix storms. We stop granting them reaction. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Seeing is not thinking. It is ceasing to donate your fear to an appearance, and in that refusal, the sea remembers how to be glass. Now we must learn to speak rightly to the wind, not with argument, not with flattery, but with the impersonal naming that strips it of the power our reaction would lend it. This has nothing to do with this person, nothing to do with your history, your chemistry, your virtue, or your failure. This is a universal belief, an adrenal alarm pattern parading as my panic. The moment you put my on it, you lock the shackle. The moment you see it as the world's weather, asking you to hold the umbrella for it, you have stepped to the middle path. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, and to make it plainer, not against glands and pulses either. Never enter the case humanly, not even at the level of your own biography. Impersonalize the wind. All right, then, here is the precise diagnosis we make in those 10 seconds. Right now, I nullify any seeming effect of a universal belief by refusing it law or power. There is no law of panic. There is no power behind adrenaline's shout. There is only one law, one life, one power. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. If there is only one, show me the statute book that gives fear jurisdiction. There is none. You see, you are not telling the body to behave. You are recognizing that the only government here is God, and universal belief has no charter in that kingdom. Say it once within, without heat. One power. Then let silence say the rest. Now, do not turn this into passivity. This is not the religion of freezing. The middle path is simple and sane. If an actual danger requires movement, move. If the pot is boiling over, turn the burner off. If a child runs into the street, your body moves before a thought arrives, and in that innocence, God moves you. But where there is no present demand, only the rehearsal of threats, the drum of what-ifs, the flush in the veins treat the surge as weather without law. Do not run from thunder. You will only give it your feet. Stand in the doorway of the 10 seconds and let the cloud pass Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Shadow is not substance. Belief is not law. Relief does not come by arguing with the belief. It comes by discovering in silence that the belief has no engine. Do you see that? The mind will try to negotiate terms. Calm down. It's okay. Nothing will happen. That is still a tribute to a second power. Forget it. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Not in debate, not in mantra wrestling. 10 seconds of principled non-reaction. Let presence notify you of the fact. It is I, be not afraid. When I announces itself, urgency drops its mask. You will feel it as the absence of push, as the simple end of the salesman at your door. No conquest, no victory parade, just the discovery that nobody was there with a warrant. To help the nerves learn this grammar, make a habit of the impersonal label. The siren rises, universal belief in emergency. The inbox flashes, universal belief in condemnation. The airplane trembles, universal belief in vulnerability. Each time, the same diagnosis. No law supports this. No power enforces it. Thumb to forefinger. One easy breath. One inner consent. One power. Then forget even that. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Seeing, not solving. If motion is required, it will be clean and unhurried. If not, the gust passes because you did not lend it your stage. This kind that digs its nails into habit goeth not out by argument, but by prayer and fasting. A 10-second fast from concepts. A prayer that is not words, but yieldedness. Impersonalize the wind. Refuse it law, and the sea in you stops answering to its call. That is all, and that is enough. Now we come to the hard mercy that frees you from endless managing. This kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting. Not a fast from bread, though there may be times for that, a fast from concept. For 10 seconds, refuse statements, refuse analysis, refuse fixing. Do you see? Do not reach for your finest truth and polish it into a weapon. Do not arrange verses like sandbags at the door. Fast. Lay every sentence down as you would lay a tool on the bench when the master enters the room. Prayer here is not speech, but yieldedness. Fasting here is not deprivation, but the blessed absence of your interference. Be still and know that I am God does not license you to think about God. It removes your right to speak in God's presence. Forget all the truth you ever knew, just there, in those 10 seconds. That is not betrayal, that is obedience. You have collected beautiful shells on the shore of truth. Now leave the shore and step into the sea. Wait for the inner click, the unpurchasable punctuation that signals presence has taken its own floor. Do not manufacture comfort. Do not whisper to yourself like a child in the dark, it will be all right, it will be all right. That is still an incantation of two powers. Instead, say nothing. Let nothing be said in you. In thy light shall we see light. Not in your lantern, not in your careful reasoning, but in the light that is its own witness. Often the click is not fireworks, it is the simple cessation of hurry, a weightless yes you could not produce if you tried. And if in that interval there is no felt anything at all, that too is holy. It means you have stayed at the gate where God passes without custom. Now, do not check your demonstration day by day, and certainly not second by second. The kingdom cometh not with observation. A seed does not report its sprouting every hour. First the blade, then the ear, after that the full corn in the ear. Let patience have her perfect work. Let maturity bring to light. You see the mischief we make when we peak? We fast from thought and then break the fast with a quick snack of appraisal. Am I calmer? Has anything changed? And we are back in the market selling and buying outcomes. Refuse it. 10 seconds given to God are not a deal for results. They are an altar for reality. Take no thought for your life, not because life is neglected, but because life is God's, and God needs no counsel from you. End each 10 seconds with willingness only that, a quiet inward bow. Let God have its perfect work. Then proceed. Answer the phone if the phone rings. Wash the cup if there is a cup to wash. Do not look over your shoulder to see if your piece is following you like a trained dog. Leave the field unharvested until the hour of harvest arrives of itself. The fruit that is real ripens without you tugging at it. When it is time to speak, speech will be there. When it is time to wait, waiting will be easy. You will find yourself walking in steps you did not plan, with a light you do not have to protect. Now, the mind will try to keep its hand in. It will fast with one hand and steal raisins with the other. An affirmation here, a tidy denial there, a furtive glance at the barometer of feeling. When you catch that, smile and return to the fast. 10 seconds, no concepts, no weather reports. God is not power to be invoked, not mind to be informed, not even soul as you imagine soul. Nobody knows what God is. Do you see how freeing that is? If God is not an object for your thought, you are relieved of thinking your way to God. Prayer becomes availability. Fasting becomes the blessed quiet in which the one that is bears witness to itself. Some of you will write and say, but I felt nothing for 3 days. And I will answer, wonderful. You have finally lost interest in your thermometer. Others will say, a sweetness rose like warm bread in an empty house. And I will say, wonderful. Do not cling to that either. The point is not the feeling. The point is the non-reaction that made room for presence. Let God have its perfect work. Leave the 10 seconds unharvested, walk on, and when the next wind rises, fast again. Prayer and fasting, again and again, not as labor but as leisure in God, until you discover that the one who clicks within you is the life that was never in trouble. At home first, because that is where our rehearsed roles most quickly demand a verdict. Before you answer the accusation, you always, 10 seconds, thumb to forefinger. Breath once as gentle as rain. Do not take the side of pride. Do not take the side of hurt. Take no sides. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment refuses the arena altogether. Let the timer hold your seat while you do nothing for your defense and nothing for their offense. One power. If there is a word after that, it will be clean and quiet. If there is none, silence will be the softest answer. A soft answer turneth away wrath, and sometimes the softest answer is the pause in which Christ answers as no answer. Do not wait for the church hour to practice. The Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath. A stairwell will do, a doorway, the edge of a bed. The true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. 10 seconds of spirit, not syllables. 10 seconds of truth, not tactics. In work, the same principle wears a different coat. Negotiation on one side of a long table, fear of loss or lust for gain on the other, timer on. One slow breath. Do not stand with capital. Do not stand with labor, not even with the side that hired you. Stand with principle. Whisper once, without heat, there is only one activity, not as counter-pressure, as consent. Then let the words that follow, if any, come unhurried and impartial, or let there be a question that disarms a quarrel by removing its stage. In a creative block, likewise, do not take the side of your art against your doubt. That is still two powers doing business, timer on. Shoulders dropped. There is only one activity. I can of mine own self do nothing. In that admission, the work resumes like a river you stop trying to push. You will find that solutions rise not as cleverness but as cleanliness, the next evident sentence, the unforced line, the fair number for both parties without your having to be Solomon for hire. And if spiritual harmony asks for separation, a contract to end cleanly, a team to part ways, even a marriage to rest, let us have it. Do not turn unity into a God you must protect by clinging. Outcome belongs to God, not to your nerves. Take no thought for your life. Let God have its perfect work. If a door shuts, praise the governance. If it opens, walk through without triumph. We never enter the case humanly to make a winner. We stand aside until the one shows itself as order, even when order looks like two chairs moved apart. So practice where you are found, at the elevator bell, at the conference docket, on the street corner with the phone in your hand. 10 seconds of principled non-reaction are leaven in the whole lump of a home, a studio, a company. The storm may still circle the house, but within, the government has changed. Peace, be still. There is only one power. There is only one activity. And in that consent, relationships and work are reordered without your taking a side. Now let the little timer become your schoolmaster, but do not make a god of your school. God is not in the timer. God is not seconds. Nobody knows what God is. The watch only rings the bell that your heart already knows how to answer. 7 times a day do I praise thee, says the psalmist, and if you will let an hourly chime be your bell, you will find that prayer without ceasing is not a marathon of words, but a life that pauses before it speaks. All right, set the chime. When it sounds, do not perform, do not fix, do not even hunt for a feeling. Thumb to forefinger, one breath like rain, one inward consent, one power, and then nothing, 10 seconds. The chime is not your holiness, it is your reminder to vacate the stage. Build thresholds into your day the way a monk builds cloisters. Every door handle is a sacrament. Before you pass from one room to another, from kitchen to office, from meeting to street, let the hand on the latch be your vow. Do not carry the storm across the threshold. 10 seconds. And before voice, always before voice, give God the floor. Set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the door of my lips. One breath, one inward. Peace, be still. And then let the sentence that comes, if any, be born where sides do not exist. Let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. Pre-voice pausing will save you from pages of apology later and will do more for your house and your work than 100 clever phrases pressed into heat. Now, refuse the itch to measure. Don't look at your demonstration day by day. Do not tally how many chimes you obeyed or how many thresholds you forgot. Let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth. Scorekeeping is the old religion of two powers, me versus my performance, sneaking back in with a clipboard. We are not building a resume, we are letting a nature emerge. Saul of Tarsus sat with his great light and then waited years, 9 by 1 reckoning, before he went out with authority. Let maturity bring to light. Your 10 seconds are not fireworks, they are seeds. First the blade, then the ear, after that the full corn in the ear. Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord. Behold, the husbandman waiteth for the precious fruit of the earth, and hath long patience for it. Let patience have her perfect work. As for the mantra, hold it lightly. Rotate if you must. Peace. Be still. I need do nothing. There is only one power. It is I. Be not afraid, but remember, the holiness is in the silence, not the syllables. When ye pray, use not vain repetitions. A word may open the gate today and not tomorrow. Fine. The gate is not the word. The gate is your non-reaction that makes space for presence to announce itself. If you find yourself clinging to the one phrase that seemed to work on Wednesday, smile and release it. Idols of syllables are still idols. The wind that bloweth where it listeth will not be managed by your favorite sentence. Over days and weeks, the timer will tutor your nervous system. You will notice that pauses begin to happen before the chime, that the hand lingers at the door without thinking, that the mouth waits for a companion light before it speaks. This is grace enrolled in habit. Do not congratulate yourself. Do not publish progress bulletins to your heart. The kingdom of God cometh not with observation. Leave the tree alone to grow. If on a given day you miss every bell, you have missed nothing that God cannot be in. The very noticing without judgment is itself a pause. Tomorrow the bell will ring again. In time, the chime will be a vestige. Before they call, I will answer. And while they are yet speaking, I will hear. The pause will precede even your intention, because the one that pauses is the life that lives you. Until then, be simple. Hourly bells, door handles as altars, a breath before voice, mantras held like feathers, and no scorecard. Let the timer tutor your nerves while you refuse the itch to measure. Practice is the fruit, and when practice ripens, it tastes like unhurried speech, doors taken without freight, and a sea in you that forgets how to storm. All right, how shall you know that the sea is learning to be glass? Not by fireworks, not by a story to tell at dinner, but by fruits. By their fruits ye shall know them. The first fruit is that the pulse of reaction slows. The text arrives, and the fuse that used to be 1 inch becomes a shoreline of quiet. The horn blares, and you discover that your foot has not leapt to teach a lesson. The second fruit is pauses that appear before you. Call them like swallows finding their own way home, spontaneous stillness without a timer's bell. The third is speech that has lost its edge and found salt. Let your speech be always with grace seasoned with salt, and grace does not perform. The fourth is seeing. You begin to look through, not through the scowl to the weariness behind it, through the crisis to the universal belief that has no law. Do you see? None of this feels heroic. It feels ordinary and gentle. A bruised reed shall he not break. The gentleness is your sign. Now the guardrails, because ripening must be protected from the old farmer in us who wants to pick the fruit green and polish it for market. Never use stillness to steer an outcome. Do not pause to gain leverage. If your 10 seconds become your way of winning, you are back in two powers. You're quiet against their noise, and you have lost the middle. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up. Likewise, never preach your pause to others. Do not announce your method at the table or scold a loved one to breathe. The kingdom comes like yeast, not like a marching band. Let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth. If there is any telling, it will be in the softened tone, in the absence of hurry, not in a tract you pin to the fridge. Sometimes the 10 seconds bloom into 30 or into a vigil in the night, and that is fine. Do not make a God of duration. God is not seconds. Honor the split second, because it is the cleft of the rock where presence passes. If the pause widens of itself, rest there. If it remains a breath's width, do not tug at it. He must increase, but I must decrease. Let God have its perfect work without your stopwatch. Return always to the middle path. Neither fear, love, nor hate any appearance. Do not court the storm as drama. Do not flee it as doom. Do not caress it as a chance to prove your spirituality. Simply abide. Let your moderation be known unto all men. The Lord is at hand. Moderation here is not tepid. It is principle, one power, one law, one life, expressing as easy restraint. When the sea is glass, you will find yourself stepping aside before offense arises, answering softly without calculation, and seeing order where others see only weather. Keep it small, keep it secret, keep it surrendered. Pride is noise, control is reaction. Love seeketh not her own. Maturity shows as effortless pausing and gentleness. Protect it, and it will protect you. Some storms, you will find, do not spend themselves on the first shore. They circle back, they peck at the window, they rise just as you lie down. All right, when the surge repeats, do not escalate your effort. Lengthen your abiding. Could ye not watch with me 1 hour? Not to achieve, not to outstare the wind, but to keep a gentle vigil that extends the 10 seconds without making a project of God. Sit up in the dim light. A chair, a blanket, the simplest room will do. Set the timer within reach, not as a whip, but as a bell. And then, as we have learned, this kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting, a fast from concepts, a prayer that is nothing but yieldedness. The rhythm is simple and sane, 10 seconds of principled, concept-free stillness. Then let a plain minute pass, ordinary sitting, no technique, hands easy, eyes soft. Then again 10 seconds of non-reaction. Then again a minute of simple being. Do you see the mercy? We are not straining, we are consenting in small sips. We do less than the mind insists, and we do it without chase. If a thought tries to turn the vigil into arithmetic, how many cycles? How long until peace? Smile and let the minute be only a minute. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Not in counting, not in wrestling. Between the silences, do not feed the fire with assurances or arguments. Fast, let even your finest truth rest on the bench until the inner click sets it, or sets nothing at all. God is not in your seconds. God is not your schedule. Nobody knows what God is. We have cases enough to trust this. A woman wrote of a grief that returned each night as a tide, dragging sleep with it. She sat lamp low, timer near, 10 seconds, a minute, 10 seconds, a minute. No verses stacked like sandbags, only the offered room. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures was not said. It arrived. Somewhere between the 6th and 7th round, she did not know, when the body stopped leaning forward, the chest forgot its assignment to ache, and the hour loosened of itself. The grief was not conquered, it was unhooked. She woke near dawn in the chair, unembellished, and the day proceeded according to a government she did not provide. Another, with a legal dread that rehearsed all its speeches at 2 a.m., kept a like watch for 3 nights running. No answers were drafted. On the 4th morning, the call came with terms that were clean, and he found himself not triumphant but plain able to say yes without relief's intoxication. Do you see? The click comes unannounced, and what could not be argued down simply unwinds. During the vigil, you will meet the small theatrics of universal belief, the leg that wants to pace, the jaw that wants a cause, the mind that wants to edit the day ahead. Impersonalize each. Universal belief in urgency, universal belief in condemnation, universal belief in control. Refuse them, law. Do not manage the breath. Let it be as it is. If tears present, let them fall without narrative. Water leaves the cloud and returns to the sea. If, in the middle minute, sleep leans in like a bird to the hand, receive it. He giveth his beloved sleep. If sleep does not come, that is all right. A night watch in God is not a price you pay, but a meadow you keep open until the deer appear or do not. You will know the close, not by victory, but by simplicity. End the vigil, whether 15 minutes or an hour, with gratitude, not analysis. No postmortem, no weather report, only a quiet thank you. Perhaps only the bow of the head. That means, thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory. Let God have its perfect work. Go to bed if bed is there. Go to coffee if the sun has come. Go to your day as one who has refused to lend reaction to the night. Do not look back to see if peace follows like a trained dog. Commit thy way unto the Lord. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. Some storms ask for abiding. The quiet vigil is not labor. It is the continued refusal to take sides, the continued trust of divine timing, the continued life by one power until the sea remembers again how to be glass. Now let us say what must be said to close this. God isn't mind. God isn't even soul. As you imagine soul, nobody knows what God is. Do you see? The moment you make of God as something you can outline, you have carved an idol, and then you kneel to it for favors. Don't turn to God for anything. That shocks you, and it should, because we have made a marketplace of prayer requests and receipts, bargains and bargains broken, and then wondered why fear returns at the first siren. God is not a usable power alongside another power called fear or fate or germ. God is the only presence, the life that is your life, the law that is your law. Where would you turn to get what already is the ground and air of your being? This is why the 10 seconds are holy. They are not a lever. They are the room you vacate, so presence may be presence without your brokerage. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength, not because quiet manipulates a universe, but because quiet ceases to assert a second cause. We do not use the pause to get. We abide to witness. I and my Father are one. That is not a slogan you take to a worry. It is the fact you sit still long enough to stop contesting. When the inner host takes his own floor, it is I, be not afraid, urgency drops, not by conquest, but by unreality exposed. Christ is the only identity, not the Christ of a portrait or a century, but the I that says, before Abraham was, I am. In that identity, storms are appearances, reactive weather with no law, and non-reaction becomes your litmus, your daily sacrament. Neither fear, love, nor hate any appearance. Resist not evil is not passivity. It is refusal to certify a second power by pushing against it. No man can serve two masters. Refuse the higher, serve one. When you do not serve, panic with attention, argument, or obedience, it has no wage to pay and no work to perform. So these 10 seconds, thumb to forefinger, one breath like rain, one inward consent to one power, and then silence, are not a charm against lightning. They are the disappearance of the one who believed in rival thrones. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. When one is realized even by a hair's breadth, the sea calms because there is no second wind to drive it. Peace, be still, spoken by the word within your wordless heart, is not power against power. It is being recognized as the only fact in the room. Outcomes may shuffle themselves, bodies ease, contracts find fairness, sleep returns, but we do not sit for outcomes. We sit because there is. Guard this from a subtler idolatry. Do not make a new God of the timer, the breath, the phrase, the silence itself. Don't turn to God for anything, not even peace, as if God were a dispenser and you a customer. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, not the addition of all these things. If they are added, let them be added without your claims upon them. Refuse to count your demonstrations. Refuse to pose as the quiet one who wins by waiting. He that seeketh to save his life shall lose it. Let the pause be anonymous, unadvertised, offered without aim. And now, as you go, keep it this simple. When panic lifts its voice, do not lend yours. 10 seconds, no words, no weather reports, no sides. A breath, an inward one, and then nothing. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Not your salvation achieved, God's salvation seen. In Him we live and move and have our being. If in that knowing you speak, your voice will be clean. If you move, your step will be unhurried. If you do not, the world will go on being governed without your consent. Surely goodness and mercy follow not because you fetch them, but because they were always the nature of the one that is your life. Let God have its perfect work, and let the sea in you forget, finally, how to storm. There is only one